Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Well, welcome home, family. It's your mom and dad. Yes.
Good day.
As I'm looking into our screen, we have screens that we can see what you all are seeing on YouTube, to adjust if we need to. And as I'm now looking at the screen, I'm realizing we legitimately look like twins. We're like hardcore twinning right now.
You know when you see like this is kind of the sign
that we're getting older.
Well, that we're transitioning into like
that time
old,
in our life.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
we've crossed the barrier because you see old people that are like in their 80s and they're like, I don't know the difference. Who's who? You know what I mean? Because it's like the hair's the same, the color of the hair is the same, the outfit's the same, they're walking the same dog. Like you just mold into the same person.
Before my Nana and Boppy passed, the photos of my Nana and Boppy, it was actually wild because they'd go shopping at the same store together and they would just get the double of everything.
Yeah.
So everywhere they
same
go,
size too. They
were
literally
the same size.
were like the exact same height. Like
same height, same size, same white hair. And they would just get doubles of the same slacks and button-down shirts and belts. And they would be literal twins everywhere. You know how, it was so cute. They were just like one
it's like
being.
A synced up thing. It's almost like evolution.
Yeah,
it's like you know how like they'll be like birds on an island and they can't penetrate like some sort of bark to get the bugs or something like that.
So
but I'm just saying. So then over time, their body goes, oh, I need to be. When two people live and spend so much time together, they go, we should probably look the same for some reason. I don't know the reason yet. Maybe survival, but we are molding into one person.
We both, if you're not watching the YouTube, we both have on beige hats and we both have on drag queen shirts. I've got my Nymphia Wind shirt on and you have a Dor Delano shirt on. So we're the same. We went to DragCon this last weekend, by the way, which is why we have our drag queen merch on. God, it was a blast. So, I mean, you all probably know at this point, it's like our annual celebration as a family as we go to DragCon for a couple days.
Jess is also a super fan. So she knows. Jess walks around, and if I say, like, I don't know who that is, it's like she's insulted. You know what I mean? She's like, how do you not know who that is? That is a legend, okay? I'm offended you don't know the full career trajectory.
I mean, I feel like I am kind of a walking Wikipedia of all drag queens because I also watch all the different iterations, like all the different global versions.
You'll watch
I watch everything.
It's Philippines and you're watching it with subtitles. Like you are.
Yeah, I love it.
You know everybody.
I know everyone. And so walking into...
and then you shame me when I don't know someone.
But walking into DragCon is a level for me of fanning out that I feel nowhere else. I can be sitting in a restaurant in Los Angeles next to, a super, super famous pop icon or actor. But when I see a drag queen that I am a fan of, it's like the nerves. I'm so nervous and awkward.
Natalie Portman, move out of the way.
No, legitimately.
Delano's right here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly.
But of course.
Yeah.
But for me, I get so nervous when you do the meet and greets. I lose all ability to speak. I have no swag. You've seen me. It's like I get in front of one of my favorite queens and I'm just like, hi. Yes. And they're trying to like interact and chat with me and I can't.
Yeah.
I lose it all. But I do have to say, if you are a Drag Race fan, if you're not, you should be, but if you're not, sorry for this tangent, but Ember and I had a moment where we just organically bumped into Roxy Andrews, which icon legend. And she said to us, you can't read the doll, which is her big tagline. Yes. And Ember has been saying you can't read the doll since every 5 minutes. And so I've had to tell her, I love you saying you can't read the doll to everyone and everything, but please, you are going back to school in a few weeks.
You cannot tell your teacher you cannot read the doll.
You need to do something. You can't look at your teacher and go, you can't read the doll.
Yeah, it's like
okay, let's not just...
Unbelievable. And Ember's, we recently realized that, well, first of all, here's the thing. She loves a bit.
Lives,
and if Ember gets a reaction out of you,
yes,
that bit is on 24/7.
Correct.
24/7. Whatever, if she gets you to laugh, that joke will be told to you 600 times
There's
a
a
day.
SpongeBob SquarePants episode actually that you watched.
Yes.
First time ever watching SpongeBob.
Guys, I've never watched SpongeBob before.
But I make so many references to it that you finally watched it. And there's a SpongeBob SquarePants episode, very early days, I believe season 1, where SpongeBob rips his pants and everyone laughs and he's like, "Oh, I got it's my new bit." And so
bit.
SpongeBob keeps ripping his pants, and at first everyone's laughing, and then after days and weeks of this, everyone's over it, and that is very much. I think
what our life is generally.
How Ember is, and also how I think it's from me.
There is a similarity there.
And I'm like, well, if it went well the first time, so Ember and I are just
should work every time.
Wandering around the house all day going, "You can't read the doll."
Yeah.
Or like we
And
see
I'm
something
like,
else.
"Guys,
You can't read the dog when we're
Yeah.
talking to Ashley or
Yes.
Arthur. And Evan's like, "Okay, we've had enough at this point."
100%. And the other day, we were watching this and we just look at each other and we go, "Is our daughter SpongeBob?"
Oh, you mean watching SpongeBob?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just like
so
straight
SpongeBob
up.
coded. Yeah.
Because Ember is this super positive, high energy, fun, just once in a lifetime energy, wild fun. But she's an anomaly.
Yes, and it's so SpongeBob coded because nothing can get SpongeBob down, and SpongeBob is so positive and is like, "I'm friends with everyone."
Yeah.
Nothing can get SpongeBob down. Always packed with energy. We're watching it. Evan and I look at each other. We're like, and we kind of like whisper. It's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Ember." And then we didn't say anything though to Ember, and Ember turns around and looks at us and is like, "I remind myself a lot of SpongeBob."
Yeah, and we're like 100%,
interesting.
100%. And it's funny because it's like, even the whole Squidward kind of like relationship, it's like if we're in a Squidward mood, Ember is so SpongeBob to Squidward to us. Like if you wake up, you're tired, you're not in the mood to adult at all, you're chilling there, and then she'll just come in and like knock something over and be like, "Hello, good morning."
And she's just like, "It's an amazing best day."
Yeah, you start singing at you, and you're just like,
just tap dancing. You know what though? Just
better
like,
that than the opposite.
I was gonna say, just like
me?
SpongeBob, Ember has a special gift of being like, every day is an amazing day,
Yes.
every hour is an amazing hour, and it's quite inspirational.
It is inspirational because I think what's going on with Squidward is that he's jealous.
For sure.
If he wishes he could look at the world like SpongeBob.
Like SpongeBob does, yeah.
Anyway,
and same thing with Plankton.
There's a little bit of SpongeBob wisdom for you guys just to kind of take into your life. Be more like SpongeBob.
Now that Evan is watching SpongeBob, you're going to get so many SpongeBob references now in the future. So prepare yourself for SpongeBob metaphors just out the butt, honestly.
Well, I feel like we'll be able to watch SpongeBob to even better parent Ember.
I do think so.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's see how that goes.
What would Patrick do in this situation?
Exactly.
What would, Sandy do as a friend to SpongeBob?
I don't know who that is
So many things. That's the squirrel.
Got it. Oh, the astronaut squirrel.
Correct.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Understood.
You know what I did get very upset about? So we were watching SpongeBob, and all of a sudden, season 1, the Plankton episode comes out where you start to find out about who Plankton is. And I often make references about Plankton. I try to speak like Plankton often, and Evan has no idea what I'm talking about. So I go, "Oh my God, Evan, you're about to find out about Plankton lore." Within 10 seconds, Evan falls asleep during the Plankton episode, and I almost started crying, just like the time when you fell asleep during the first watch in our marriage of A Muppet's Christmas Carol. And I was like, this means so much to me, and you started sleeping. So that was a little triggering for me.
And I'm super sorry about that. I'll be honest with you,
We're going to need to watch.
Lately, it's been worse than ever. The second it's like, let's watch this thing, I'm out.
I know, you're out.
It's so annoying.
I know. But it was just like that of all the episodes of SpongeBob, it's the Plankton episode.
Because it's like, you don't care, it's like this, do you care about me and my kind of origin story? And then I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, because mine and Plankton's origin story is very entwined.
I mean, I feel kind of like spiritually it is, or like, emotionally there's a similarity there.
It really is. Well, family, okay, we're not here to talk about SpongeBob and us being twins. We are here to do a call home extravaganza about friendship. friendship questions, dramas, breakups, scandals, all of this.
Because I think it's
finding friends.
I think it's very important because the fact is we do a lot of relationship stuff. We're married. So there's a lot of like, oh, but you know what? Everyone has friendship dramas, ups and downs, those things. Not everyone is in relationships all the time. Some people are, some people aren't. But everyone has like friendships they've gone in and out of or struggle with or whatever. So I think it's a good time to finally address.
And honestly, the timing of this is kind of interesting because I just very recently in the past few days had a friendship realization that I will talk about in a moment before we dive in, where I have to be vulnerable about myself.
Got it.
On this podcast. But we got to take a quick pause first before we dive into that. So family, you may know that I have become a walk pad girly. Okay, speaking of friends, my girl Ari got me hooked. I am on that walk pad all day long when I'm watching The Bachelorette, when I'm watching SpongeBob, emailing on the phone, and I love the constant walking, but with my old shoes, my dogs were barking, okay? The feet were not feeling so great. They were bothering me. And then I got a pair of Vionic Walk Max sneakers, and all that changed. My feet feel amazing all day long, people, okay? I swear, the second that I put them on for the first time, I felt the difference. Like, genuinely felt the difference. It was incredible. And they're also so cute, too.
Yeah. I love mine. Yeah, introducing the Vionic Walk Max sneaker for him and her, for everyone. They're perfect for all-day wear, staying active, or your everyday go-to. I have a pair of the Vionic Walk Max sneaker. They are really unbelievable. They
really
feel
are.
incredible. They have science-led design informed by biomechanics to create the ultimate walking shoe.
And again, you can genuinely feel the science, babes. You can feel it the second you put it on your feet. Vionic's exclusive podiatrist designed VioMotion technology features unmatched underfoot contours, providing stability and support through every stride. It's that VioMotion technology that sets them apart. They began by revolutionizing medical orthotics. Today, they continue to use that science to engineer shoes that leave your feet energized and confident all day long. I'm legit obsessed with the Walk Max sneakers. In fact, I wore them both days to DragCon because I knew we were going to be walking all day. And guess what? My feet normally hurt when I'm at DragCon. They did not. They felt amazing all of the 48 hours. I currently have the cream tangerine tango color and it's so cute. And I just got a pair of their Uptown loafers. They are amazing. They also have their Chardonnay heeled sandal, classic sneaker, and Willis slip-on flat. I'm telling you, go on their website and check out all the shoes. You'll love them. Your feet will never feel better than this. And also, they're just really cute too. So, I mean, win-win. They even offer a 30-day guarantee. Wear them, love them, or return for a full refund within 30 days. Use code MOMDAD at checkout for 15% off your entire order at www.vionicshoes.com when you log into your account. That's one-time use only, www.vionicshoes.com, code MOMDAD. Vionic shoes, wearable well-being for your feet. I love them so much. Seriously, it was kind of incredible.
Yeah, they're amazing.
My feet weren't hurting after DragCon for all the walking that we were doing.
Perfect for DragCon.
Or the running that I was doing from booth to booth. Okay, so today, like we said, we're going over your voicemail questions about friendships, and the timing was actually quite interesting to me.
Okay.
Because...
By the way, we're kind of wearing the same shoes too. I just realized that. This is actually kind of disgusting.
Well, I have denim.
I have denim
you have
too.
khakis, but yours are like a khaki
but they're just
color.
a different color.
Yeah,
Anyway. This is diabolical. All right, continue. I just realized that I'm like, this is head to toe.
We're lovers and best friends.
Hot. Love you, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
Speaking of friends. Okay, continue.
But the timing of this is interesting because I was just having some friendship issues in my life, like a couple days ago. And it made me think, I'm like, family, I am almost 36 years old and I am still actively making mistakes in friendships and actively realizing that I need to grow and change in friendships. And so I don't know, that was something that kind of hit me where I'm like, you know, we're going to be given our advice, so take it or leave it. But I'm like, here I am, you know, almost middle-aged.
Yes.
And it still is something that I'm like, oh, you need to work on this and grow. So I'll tell y'all what's going on. Vulnerable vulnerable moment from mom over here. So the past, I would say like year and few months have just been one of those years. Without getting into, there's no need to get into all the details of it. I haven't even really talked about it. We haven't talked about it on the podcast a lot because I do feel like this podcast is kind of like the space where I feel like relief. Like I come on and we have a silly, fun time. But it all kind of started actually when my grandma passed away about a year and a couple months ago. And after my Nana, who I was the closest to in my life, died, it was just one of those, it's been one of those years where it's like everything that could happen was happening, whether it be health issues, personal family stuff, financial stuff. I mean, it's just been one of those years where, you know, I feel so blessed with the privilege that we have, but it's been a year of floundering. Would you say it's been a floundering year?
A little like directionless, aimless inside our hearts.
And kind of like then a new thing that comes up that it's like, oh my God, how are we going to deal with this? And I think after the year's worth of that, the past few months, it all of a sudden hit bipolar miss over here. And my bipolar has been in a very like depressive state. So like I said, I think on here, it's like a fun, safe place where I hop on and I feel like I have this fun time. But, you know, we can be transparent that
of course. The
past few months for me, I've been
It's
low.
been hard. Yeah,
I've been really low. And that looks like for me a lot of, you know, during the day, get the works done you need to get done, want to be there for my kiddo and for you, my husband. But once Ember's in bed, like I am checked out. I'm in bed. The phone is off. Like it's tough to get out of bed.
Yes.
Past few months. And so I've become a bit of a hermit in my home. And, you know, it's been you and Ember and maybe one or two friends, but I feel like my capacity is really, really small right now so that I don't spiral into too unhealthy of a mental state that then it's affecting like my parenting and things. But what that's done is made me be in what I would like to call my bad friend era. Like I have not been a good friend in general. Like I said, I've got like one or two and then my nuclear family, but outside of that, my capacity is small. And when I say this, I don't think that there's anything wrong with being in a space where you're like, I can only handle so much and I cannot extend myself out of that to like try to make sure that I'm okay and that like my family's okay. But because of that, I'm in full hermit mode and I have not been responding to text messages, reaching out to people, leaving my house. Yeah. It was like DragCon is a big adventure.
A bit of a shut-in right now.
And I, in the past few days, have had a few friends, all of a sudden, like I said, the timing's kind of wild, a few friends who I'm so grateful for, who are so willing to do this, reach out to me and be like, are we okay? Like, are you mad at me? Because I've gone fully dark.
Yeah.
And there were a few things that like hit me in that moment. Number one, I'm so grateful to have people in my life who are willing to be vulnerable because that's a vulnerable thing to do, is to be like, are we okay? Is something wrong? But what really hit me in the gut is that I was like, it's okay to be in a space where you can't give anything to anybody. But if I would have used communication, just one, not even like ongoing, but just one form of communication to send a message to a couple of friends to be like, hey, I love you so much. I want you to know I'm not in a great headspace. So if I'm not responding to things or reaching out, just know I love you. I'm here for you if you need me, but I'm in this space and I might need a little bit of time, but I'll be back. And one little bit of communication would have helped these people who I love, who now all of a sudden are mind grinding about, is Jessica upset at me? Is something wrong in our friendship? Does she not? And these are people I love and value so much, but because I didn't communicate just a little bit, then it's affecting them and they're going through all this.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So I don't know. That like was a moment that really hit me where this is like a growth curve at an almost middle-aged age where I'm like realizing in friendships the balance of it's okay to be at max capacity.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be able to be present for a bunch of people in your life who you do love and value. And it's okay to communicate briefly, this is why to them. But then if you just go dark, you know, I'm just then thinking about me and I'm not thinking about that there's people on the other end of my life who are like, is there something wrong?
Yeah.
Did I do something?
Mm-hmm.
So anywho.
Yeah, I mean,
I know that was a bit of a long explanation, but I don't know. I was grateful to be sitting here talking about friendships and to have these questions, even though now I probably don't sound like an expert because here I am making mistakes left, right, and center.
Don't worry.
But it was a good reminder for me, and I was listening to a few of the call home voicemails beforehand, and there were a handful that were about like my friend all of a sudden disappeared.
Right.
And now, honestly, of course, that can be for many reasons outside of someone being in like the mental space that I was in. But I was hearing them thinking about like, oh man, okay, this is an important reminder for me that like to remember that it's okay to not be able to be present. But communication is so important, you know?
Big time. Yeah. I mean, I think it's tough too when you got like work and kid and all that stuff. It's like, it's really hard to like be a consistent friend, I find. It's like really hard to kind of
and
know.
everyone's busy. It's hard to be a consistent friend in general once you become an adult, no matter what your life looks
it's
like.
tough. And some people really thrive with like constant communication. They feel empowered by it. They feel excited by it. They like the back and forth. Some people get exhausted by it where it's like they want to kind of check in and check out. That's also hard though when it comes to like relationship and community is like just checking out and checking in and checking out when you want is tough because it's like doesn't create consistency. So there's a lot of things I feel like as we get older that like are not as easy to navigate as it was when we were young. When it was like, oh, you're in college and you know everyone and everyone has the same schedule and you're doing it all the same.
Totally. It's
like when you're older and everybody has different careers, marriages, relationships, kids, all that stuff. It just schedules. Like it really becomes more difficult to kind of figure out how to, and friendships.
And then if you have the mental health piece, like I said, I think sometimes when I go in my cave, it's because I'm like, oh, I don't want to bring anyone down with me. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to say the, which again, there's a level of protecting, but then a self-centeredness there too, where I'm like, I'm making that decision for my friend without talking to my friend about what they want.
Just communicating, I feel like always fixes everything. It's the lack of communication where people start making assumptions and,
Katie Thurston is such a inspiration for me. She's one of the friends in my life that we've been, extremely like through all of this. Her and I have been communicating a lot. But Katie Thurston is always a huge example of that to me because she does such a great job of like, if there's anything, she'll right away say, is everything good?
Yeah.
This is what I need. She does a great job of communicating like thoughts and needs. I'm trying to learn from that and know, hey, there are, again, people in my life who love me that I'm not going to burden them if I send them a message and go, I'm not doing so well. So just FYI, if I don't contact you, it's nothing personal.
Right.
That it's like, no, that's going to be helpful for people to know that.
100%. Yeah. 100%. I mean, we're always learning.
Yeah. Communication is key in friendships and relationships. And I think probably a lot of these questions that we're going to be listening to, a lot of the responses and answers will be involving communicating.
Yes.
Instead of making assumptions, which...
Assumptions are the killer,
Your
man.
girl right here is known as the assumption queen.
Well, it's tough when you're right a lot. You know what I mean? I think that's hard too. Is like when you assume things and then you're right like 80% of the time. It's really hard not to kind of rely on that.
Yeah, but
it's really hard to go out of your way to communicate, which might mean a confrontation, which might mean an uncomfortable comment, which might mean all those things. But would you want assumptions about you? And I think that's always what it comes down to. Is like
100%. And then when
put yourself on the other side of whatever you're dealing with. And do that thing, that would make you feel better. It doesn't always work out perfectly, but at least that like you tried your best.
And even if my assumptions are right a good amount of time, like you said, maybe 80%, there's 20% where they're very wrong.
Yes.
And that 20% can be damaging.
Yes.
In friendships and relationships.
100%.
So, your mom's over here blowing it. So
no
if you
way.
feel but I'm being like honest.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
being okay.
I make
You're being-
frequent mistakes,
Yeah.
and so when anyone's listening to this and they're in the middle of a friend drama or something, just know that when we're sitting here giving advice, like I'm out here messing it up constantly too.
Oh my
so
gosh.
there's that.
Yeah.
But anywho, enough about me. Let's talk about you all. Well, we're like
Yes.
30 minutes in and I'm
The
just
reason why
ranting
we're
about
here.
me.
No,
being a
no,
bad
no, it's
friend,
good.
not
It's-
listening to you all. This is, about the back and forth
We're family here.
communication.
Come on. This isn't a one direction. Love the band.
Ooh, love the band.
Continue.
Please reunite. But before we officially dive in,
Yes.
to the call home questions, we do need to take another quick pause. Family, summertime is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down, but sometimes you can't help but notice that actually time is moving so fast. I think this summer has actually been the fastest time has ever felt like it's flying by when it comes to Ember.
Yeah, I literally feel like summer is starting now.
And it's like,
And I'm like, it's almost over.
I've been getting emotional left, right, and center every day, just like looking at her and watching her grow up and mature. And she's starting a new grade soon, maybe even a new school. Listen, maybe you're feeling this way with your kiddos right now too, watching them get older, a little bit taller, and maybe even a little bit wiser. To help continue learning and build independence over the summer and stay connected as they start spending more time out of the house, I recommend Greenlight. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Greenlight is genuinely incredible. I'm so glad that we started using it.
Yeah. Then there's Greenlight's Infinity Plan, which includes all the financial literacy education that makes Greenlight a valuable resource for millions of parents and kids. Plus, built-in safety to give you peace of mind. With Greenlight Infinity, teens can check in without needing to actually check in, thanks to family location sharing.
They can also call for help when they need it with SOS alerts that connect them to family members, 911, or both. There's even a feature that detects car crashes and will connect your young drivers to 911 dispatch and alert emergency contacts if needed. I mean, like Evan said, talk about peace of mind for parents and caretakers. We're talking financial literacy and safety with Greenlight. A deep breath for mom over here, okay? No matter which features make the most sense for your household, Greenlight is the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and for families to navigate life together. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/momdad. That's greenlight.com/momdad to try Greenlight for free. greenlight.com/momdad. All right, ready for some
Let's
call
go.
homes?
Yes.
Let's talk to the family.
Remember, you can always call home.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi.
So, I met one of my best friends like over 25 years ago when I was married. She was there for me through conceiving and having my 2 kids. Around 15 years ago, when she was pregnant and had 2 older kids with her, when she had nothing and they needed a place to stay, then I brought them in and they all stayed with my family of 4 for almost 2 years. I shopped, cooked for them, etc., and never asked for a dime back. We confided in everything with each other, including all the intimate details of my marriage. A couple of years ago, I got a divorce and moved away. Within a year, she told me that she and my ex-husband were dating. When she first told me, I tried to be supportive, but then when I actually saw her at my old house with him,
Oh my God.
like she's actually in my room, in my bed, then I started to let her know that it was weird and didn't feel right. So then she ignored me and later unfriended me online. She clearly picked a guy over me in 1 second. So there has been drama regarding my son's graduation since she goes to them with their dad. But I have my boundaries and do not ever want to see someone who has betrayed me and has no care for my feelings.
Sure.
They have called me difficult. So I am the victim, and now I'm the difficult one for standing up for myself and having boundaries. So my first question is it okay for me to hold on to my boundaries of not wanting her around my kids' special events? Like, I just want to enjoy my kids and not be traumatized having to see her there. Like, they will have another graduation, probably weddings, babies, etc. Second question is, how can I ever trust anybody again? If you can't trust a best friend of like 25 years, and we were so close, it seems like there is literally no one you can trust. Like, she was like a sister to me. There have been other relationships who have wronged me also, but this one has been the closest one. So right now I've pretty much been just alone doing my thing since I can only truly trust myself. Thanks so much, guys. I love you and love the podcast.
Dude, I am so sorry. This is...
Yeah, I felt like I saw that coming from a mile away. The second she's like, I invited her in my home, I was like, oh, I see where this is going.
Oh, no, I did that. That just absolutely shocked me.
It's just like, oh, God, here we go. Ugh.
Okay. Again, I am so sorry. This is life-altering
100%.
stuff. All right, so we've got two pieces to this, talking about your boundaries with your ex-friend and then how you can trust someone moving forward. I feel like you sound to me when you're talking about the fact that you're bringing this person into your life, like such an incredible friend, taking care of her and her kids, never asking for a penny in return, for years in your home. And then you even mentioned at the end, you said you've had situations before where people have hurt you.
Yes.
I think you sound like such an unbelievably kind person,
Yes.
but sometimes what can come with that is people taking advantage of that.
Yes.
So I think boundaries for you, keeping boundaries are really, really important. So you having those exact boundaries with this ex-friend and your ex-husband, I'm like, all for it. You keep those boundaries. I think they're beyond reasonable. You said that your ex-husband and ex-friend are making comments like you're the difficult one. As impossible as it's going to feel like, just remember you're being gaslit by these people. These people did something, a level of betrayal that is so beyond. Someone who was in your home, your best friend for, you said, 25 years, to then enter into a relationship with your ex-husband. Like, I genuinely cannot imagine if that happened to me, the rage cage that would be happening. Keep this in mind. Like, it is the ultimate betrayal. So remember that when they're saying those things to you and trying to make you feel bad, you sound like you have such a kind heart. I feel like that could influence you and infiltrate as much as you're trying to not let it. Remember that you are being gaslit by these people, okay?
Yeah.
So them saying that you're difficult, as much as you can, try to let it wash over you and remember who these people truly are, unfortunately. The only caveat I would have to this, and I've never been in this situation, so take it for what it is. I can't imagine walking through this, but I'm curious how old your kids are. And I think communicating with them is something that's really important, maybe when it comes to this ex-friend of yours showing up to events. For instance, if you talk to your kids and you find out that your kids want this person there, and then you're saying, I don't want this person there, that might come in between you and your kids. And that's obviously the last thing you want because they're your children and you love them so much. So what I could see happening is if your kids are interested in having this ex-friend of yours there and you say no, I could see your ex-husband and your ex-friend trying to turn your kids against you in that way. That's my only fear for you in this situation. So obviously if your children, if they're super young and it's a non-issue for them, that's one thing. But if they're a little bit older and you kind of are feeling via communication with them that they are wanting her there, I know this is so gnarly, but the best call might be to just let it be and just make sure you're always on the other end of the seating. You know what I mean? Like, get there a little bit earlier, sit far away from them, or get there later, maybe see where they're sitting, sit away from them and just avoid them as much as possible so that you don't have to interact. I cannot imagine the feeling in my gut of being at my child's event and seeing this person who has so deeply betrayed me and my ex-husband there. But the kids, I think, how they feel is going to really matter in this situation. What are your thoughts?
About that or just the whole thing?
Just about that, and then we can talk about the trust and the whole thing, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, like, you know, I'm not speaking from experience here in regards to, like, I've been through this, but just psychologically, I think you have to, like, shrink the situation a little bit and really focus on what you can control and do your best to forget everything else, because you'll start to mind grind about, I didn't deserve this. I took care of this person. They betrayed me. Those are all things that are true and horrible, but you can't control them. They happened. And so spend your energy as much as you can figuring out a way for you to get right and handle this situation as best you can, and focus on controlling your environment as best as you can. So even if that means, like you said, sitting across a different thing, explaining to them, hey, can we mix up the games? You know what I mean? Can I go to some? Can you go to some for a little bit until I get used to this? Like, you know, try to work with them so that, or maybe work with them is maybe too strong.
Yeah,
but like
that might
work
be a little
with a little bit of the situation, because like Jess said, it's like you don't want to create us versus them, and then the kids are picking sides and all that stuff. So do your best just to control the situation as best you can. Make it less of a, you betrayed me, how could you do this to me, which then creates friction between you two, only for the fact of protecting yourself. I'm not saying do it for them. I'm saying doing it for you, because the more contentious you'll get with them, the more that they might be hostile. Like, we're not going to rely on them to be the mature people here.
It's true. And there's
you have to kind of sometimes know that people won't rise to the occasion. So you might have to go a little bit above and beyond to protect yourself.
And there's also a piece to, yes, 100% off of what you're saying. If with them you are, you know, maybe revealing a lot of your feelings, like talking about, hey, I'm really struggling and I don't want you there, that might become then for them like fodder, where they're talking
You're
shit
immature.
and they're like, then that's something that they can talk about together.
Don't reveal too much, because that's your
sacred
stuff,
space now.
And that they don't deserve to know how you feel about things. So just do your best to control the environment, but don't share with them all your feelings, because like Jess said, it can become this kind of emotional war thing, and we don't want to do that. And we don't want them, you know, talking shit behind your back to the kids and being like, well, you know, mom, you know, your mom's very immature and she can't handle it. She doesn't want us to be in love, and so what can we do? You know, you don't want that. All that stuff can be done. So just keep it simple, keep it practical.
Yeah.
Get away from the feelings when it comes to talking with them.
Yeah. I think if you keep your distance emotionally as much as possible with them, that would be maybe the best case to protect yourself. I want you to be able to get to a space where you have maybe made communication of your feelings as limited with them as possible, so that you are able to heal and that you can focus on you and making yourself happy and then enjoying your children. Like, that's what's so important right now, is starting this life through all of this damage and healing, where you're loving on yourself, and then of course through that your children.
Yeah.
But then in regards to how you can trust someone again, I don't have like an easy answer for this, because I think there are really two choices, because we don't, you know, have this crystal ball to know who's going to betray us and who's not, unfortunately. You either can kind of barricade yourself and your emotions up and not jump into a friendship or a relationship again. And then you're protecting yourself, but then you're potentially losing out on friendships and relationships. Or when you feel ready, dip your toe back in. And I can't promise you that someone isn't going to hurt you in the future, but I think that's just kind of the risk when it comes to life and relationships. I think moving forward, it's maybe important to know your tendencies to be this loving, kind caretaker and that people might take advantage of that. So maybe in friendships moving forward, it sounds so hard because you're so lovely and gracious, but maybe don't offer everything you were offering before. Maybe don't say, hey, you can move in, you know, giving, it's so sad because it's such an amazing quality about you, but moving forward, maybe don't offer that as much. Maybe it might feel like it's selfish to you, but be more selfish in friendships. Put up a little more barriers so that you're able to kind of suss out who someone is before diving fully in and then potentially getting hurt more. But I think that if you barricade yourself off, then you're at a risk of not having another amazing friendship. And it might be, your next friendship might be the friendship of your lifetime.
Yeah.
I found my closest, most favorite, amazing friends later in my life, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I want you to have that. But it is going to feel like a risk and it is going to be scary.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, okay, so I'm going to come at you a little bit, not in a mean way, but I think this is like one of those things. It's like, you can't change your friend, right? Your friend is the person who betrayed you is what they did. Your ex is who they are. So all you can focus in again on is you now.
Yeah.
And how to go about the next phase of your life differently and learn from the past. Let's get honest about when you guys were all living together. Were you ignoring red flags? Were you giving her the benefit of the doubt all the time with all these weird ways that she was behaving? Like, who knows? I don't know your story, but what I do know is that what seems almost impossibly obvious and also true is that there was stuff going on previous to your divorce. And I'm not saying there was full-blown cheating, but like there was a development. So what I would do is, it sounds like you were a little too open, a little too quick in some ways to be like, you're in my home now with the kids. I'm taking care of you fully. Maybe and the world just isn't as nice, unfortunately, as you want it to be. You're a person who's made of really nice things. And so sometimes you just got to be aware that like not everyone shares that same mentality as you.
Yeah,
so,
unfortunately.
But I would think of it like this. You started a lemonade stand on a corner. No one bought your lemonade. Do you never sell lemonade again and shut the blinds and never go outside again? Or do you go, you know what? I'm going to do another lemonade stand on a different corner, try some new tactics, learn from what happened, take the good, leave the bad. Like, you have to get as out of your head and pragmatic as possible in order to give yourself another chance, because you don't want to live your life with no friends for the rest of your life. I know you don't. And I think it's important to realize that this is a situation that happened, super fucked up, but learn from it. Try to get as practical as possible. Think about maybe where you were giving her the benefit of the doubt when she didn't deserve it. Things like that. Get your boundaries right and head out into the world again and give it another chance. And you might be let down again, but like, what's the point of this life if we're not shooting to like experience joy?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have ups and downs.
And right now, after everything that you've gone through, you deserve so much joy.
Yes.
So fill your life with it as much as possible. I know it's going to seem like the last thing that you probably want to do right now is to like go out and try to feel joy. Like, trust, I would be like buried. I'm talking about earlier about feeling a hermit because of being in a depressive state. I'd be buried in my blankets, like, and you're out here being a mom and handling stuff. So you're already doing an amazing job. The fact that you're even able to have this conversation. So now I think it's time for you to focus on providing joy for yourself. And that might look like opening yourself up to new relationships and maybe just step in just with a big toe.
100%. This time around, maybe not invite everybody into your house. Maybe we just go some dinners and some hangouts and some, park dates and who knows what.
Group events, take up a pottery class and you see these
slow,
people for like an hour,
exactly.
and you slowly make our way into.
But if you're going to stay inside all the time and not have friends anymore, what's going to happen is you're going to mind grind.
Yeah.
Being together, it's going to grind. It's going to make it worse. So the more time you spend alone thinking about this stuff, the worse it will get. I promise you. You have to get out and start your own new life. And then one day you'll probably wake up and be like, I don't even think about them anymore.
And you're going to win in this situation.
100%.
I know it. So we're not going to let the ex-friend who is treacherous and the ex-husband take advantage of the amazing person who you are.
Yes.
They're not going to win. You're going to win.
Exactly.
So we love you so much. I am so sorry that you went through this. This is such a nightmare, but you've got this.
100%.
You're an amazing person. And man, there are going to be some amazing friends in your future who are going to value you for everything that you are so much. Genuinely.
It's not over for you. It's a totally new beginning.
This is the beginning. Okay. Oh, man. Okay.
What a way to start out.
Woo, yes, so intense. But thank you so much.
You guys are throwing softballs.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we got to take one more quick pause and then we got to dive into a bunch more questions.
Of course.
So family, it's brat summer officially for me, okay? It's brat summer. I may be in bed a lot, but it's about to be brat summer, okay? It's also a hot summer, so it needs to be a hydrated summer. It's true. I feel much better when I'm hydrated, okay? And how do I stay super hydrated? Enter Liquid IV. Liquid IV is extraordinary hydration for physical endurance, mental clarity, and overall well-being. A single stick of Liquid IV delivers better hydration than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients. And hey girl, it's also delicious, okay? Which helps me drink because, to be honest, I didn't used to drink as much water as I should, but because Liquid IV is so yummy, I actually enjoy drinking it and then I get hydrated. It's amazing.
Love it. Yeah, and it's so easy. All you have to do is take a packet of Liquid IV, tear and pour into water, and boom, hydration. I recently started playing hockey again. No big deal.
Yes,
Scored 3 goals. First game back. Let's not even talk about it. And Liquid IV has been the perfect partner for that. I keep in my hockey bag too, which is nice. My gym bag, my glove compartment. I got them everywhere.
I also always have a bunch in my purse for myself and for my friends for that night out on the town. I'm just distributing them everywhere. My friends love me for it, okay? And again, it's delicious, huge variety of true to fruit flavors like pear, strawberry lemonade, sugar-free raspberry melon, lemon lime, and personally, the sugar-free white peach is my brat summer drink. Okay, I'm chugging it every day. It's so yummy and so refreshing in this heat. And a fan favorite has officially returned, the Hydration Multiplier Cotton Candy, a Technicolor dreamscape of hydration, no fluff, all functional benefits with a sweet vanilla taste. It is so good. Tear, pour, live more. Again, 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, people. Turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MOMDAD at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MOMDAD at liquidiv.com. All right, ready for our next voicemail?
Let's do it.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi.
It's your daughter, Alyssa, calling all the way from Wisconsin. My friendship question is, how do you get invited to do things from coworker friends / classmate friends / making new friends? So I'm 23 and unfortunately, one of my biggest semi-regrets is not going to like a 4-year college or university or private school or anything like that. I always went to tech school. I'm still in school right now. I'm studying to be a paramedic, so we're all like super busy with like clinicals, and I'm literally working like 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts. Okay, I'm so tired. I'm currently at work right now, just waiting for a 911 call, but I always see my coworkers like on Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook. They're always posting like fun activities or going out to bars and drinking and hanging out together, and I'm never invited. And like, I've been at this company, at this job for 3 years. Okay, I'm really friendly. I am. I'm not just like, this isn't just like something I've made up in my brain. I am so friendly. I am so kind and respectful, and I don't spread gossip, and I can make people laugh, and I'm funny, and people like respond well to me at work, but I'm never invited out. And like, the thing is that I'm 23 and everyone's probably like 5 years and older than me. Okay. And even more at school. I mean, I'm pretty young to be in this field, and yeah, I don't know. I just like, I can drink, I can get down and have fun and have a good time, and I don't know how to get invites. I don't know how to get invited. I don't know how to, I don't know, set up dates myself, I guess. And I don't know. Like, I just think, like, I do consider some of these people my friends. And I'll, like, message them occasionally outside of work. And you're just like, whatever. But I never get the invite. And then also, on top of that, how do you make friends? Like, outside of work? Like, where do you find them? I don't really have any hobbies right now. I'm, again, so busy. I'm not sporty like you, Mom. Maybe
Shout
bowling. I could do bowling. Should I join, like, a bowling league? I could do that. It'd be fine. Or D&D. I'd love D&D. I would love that. I know I'd be so good at it. Or, like, pottery. I don't know. I just, like, I need help. I need answers. How do you get the invite? How do you make new friends? And how do you become friends with your coworkers outside of work? Love you, Mom and Dad. Talk to you soon.
Alyssa, I love you. First of all, thank you for your service and what you do as a paramedic. Damn. Okay. Love your energy.
Yeah.
Clearly you are a bundle of fun and everyone would be blessed to hang out with you. Okay. Here's what it is.
Okay.
This is my thought right
Preach.
out the gate. Sometimes when people know each other, and I've been guilty of this before too, I get caught up with an exact friend group and I forget to invite certain people out.
Yes.
And I love those people. And it's one of those things where when I really sit back and think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I love this person. I should have invited them to this thing. But you kind of get in this habit of just inviting a certain group of people and it just becomes habitual. So I don't think it's anything that you should take personally at all. I'm sure these people are just kind of habitually, maybe they've known each other a little longer. Again, like you said, they're more of a similar age. And so they're just maybe doing their thing. Maybe after work one day, they all went out to drink and then that kind of just became the drinking crew and they just kind of forget about inviting other people.
Yes.
So my thought is, I know it's extremely awkward to do, but you are clearly very charming.
Yes.
So I don't think it would rub anybody the wrong way, Alyssa, is I would ask if you can come. Like genuinely, when they post about it the next time, I would send a DM and be like, oh my God, you guys are so cute. Love you all. I want to join next time. I have FOMO. And then the next time you see them at work, I would say like, okay, I need a drink after work. So you can either try to set something up by being the person to be like, I need a drink after work, everybody who wants to come.
Yeah.
It's been such a crazy shift. Or after a long day at school, to be like, does anybody want a drink? Because this is rough.
Yes.
Anybody. And maybe you'll get one or two people. Maybe you won't get a huge crew at first, but those one or two people could become some solid friends for you.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of keep doing that. So try, as awkward as it is trying to initiate hangs, you can do it in a way that doesn't feel like, all right, I'm sending out a giant group invite with a special invitation that feels very official and then it's awkward if no one shows up. You can do it organically, like in the moment after work. Oh my God, can you believe that just happened? Who needs a drink?
Yeah. Right.
I need a beer. Anybody?
Yeah.
And then I would ask too. I would ask, again, as awkward as it seems, I would ask to join. You can do it in a way that doesn't feel so uncomfortable by seeing a photo or hearing them talk about it and bringing it up. There also might be a factor too. You brought up that you're 23 and they're a little bit older. Maybe they think you don't want to hang out with them. And not in a way that you're being rude, but they're like, oh, she is young and probably off doing her thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to hang out with us, 28-year-olds, 30-year-olds. We're probably boring to her. They might just think you don't want to hang out.
Yeah.
So if you put yourself out there in that way, they might be like, oh, hell yeah, we love Alyssa. She's a party. That's my initial thought.
I love that. Yeah, maybe just be a little bit more attentive of the people that do hang out. What do they talk about and what is the vibe? Could be miserable people, like misery loves company. It could be like people that complain a lot. And if you don't complain, then there's kind of this, you're not like in the same, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're like, oh, this fucking job and this fucking boss and I hate this car and and then and you're like, I had the best day today.
Yeah.
Then
You might
they're-
be sunshine.
You know what I'm saying? And then they're
Sound
kind of
it.
like, we like to bitch about everything together. Like, who knows what the vibe is? I know it could be what Jess said, which is like, oh, she's young, she's having fun. We're just old and we're just going to dive bars. And she wouldn't want to do that. It could be, if anything, it's probably a mixture of they're not thinking about you and not an offensive way. It's just like they're in their own world.
Yeah.
They were talking about how they went to this bar and then, oh, let's go to that bar. They're not, it's a 99.9% they're not intentionally leaving you out.
Yeah.
But it probably just could be a camaraderie thing of like they're experiencing the same things. They both have, all four of them have toxic relationships, and all they do is talk, gossip to each other about how much they hate their person. Who knows what it, right? It could be a million different things. It could be. So what I would do is just be a little bit more aware about like what about them and their connection is interesting, or if you notice anything, and see if that's something you could either join in on. So let's say they're always talking about Taylor Swift and you don't care about Taylor Swift. You can make a decision to be like, do I want to listen to some of the albums and kind of chime in? That's an option too, right? It is kind of it can be strategy in some ways. This is all aside from literally just going up to them and saying, you guys want to grab a drink tonight?
Yeah.
I know it's weird. I know it's risky. I know it's a little scary. I know what if they say, no, we're good. And then they go out and then you're like in your head, and I get it.
Yeah.
That's all the possible options. But what you got to understand is like, okay, well, you're not going out with them now. So if you continue not to go out with them, it's not any worse, right? So give it a shot. Experiment with some things. You know what I mean? Just say, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? I would love to kick it. Who knows what? It's like, just experiment with opening yourself up, experiment with listening, experiment with kind of, seeing what the energy is. If there's a couple other people who never get invited too, kind of try to notice the difference of like, why are they kind of, like, what about those 4 people that aren't connecting with those 2 people?
Maybe they might be your people. Maybe
Also,
they want to go get a drink.
The rejects can have their own crew. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying? Maybe there's like hey, the people who aren't getting invited, I don't have as much in common with them. You know what I mean? Don't feel left out on just because they're drinking and having a good time. Think about whether you even want to hang out with these people too. Because there's an issue of like, you might be kind of lonely. So just them seeing doing anything sounds fun, but you actually don't even really care that much about them. Just kind of like do your best to, again, life is so hard when you take everything personal and it feels really close. Do your best to like remove yourself from the situation, and almost like you're giving advice to a friend who's going through this.
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Also, too, you're talking about school. Maybe a good way to hang out with people from that environment is when there's something coming up that you guys need to study for. I don't know what that looks like for you, but be like, hey, a few people that you kind of like their vibe in your class or who sit next to you, be like, hey, does anyone want to meet up and go over some of this stuff together?
Yes.
Do we want to study together? And maybe you guys meet up like, hey, let's go study. And you could even plan. I love a plan ahead of time. You can plan to meet up at a coffee shop that's like right next to a bar. And so after you guys are done, you can be like, does anyone want to get a drink now? And then you can, transfer it from a study hang to like, let's get a drink afterwards. And that might open more of a friendship dynamic.
Yes. Also, just know that it's not going to happen magically.
No.
My friends who are super social and they post every night at some restaurant doing some cool shit, they are like professional texting with 100 people a day, trying to make things happen, reaching out, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't just sit around and all of a sudden it's like their social life's booming. It's generally like people put a lot of energy into a social life.
It's like essentially it becomes a job.
Exactly.
Like what they're doing. And you, dear Alyssa, are working what you said 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts, which is wild on top of going to school. So you don't have the time and energy to do so. So don't even put that pressure on yourself. If things can happen more organically, in your place of work and school like that, like a study session, saying, hey, anybody want to drink after? Maybe that, But your other question was, how do you meet people outside of work? Which is, as you get older, is such a tough question. I battle with this one all the time when it's like, hey, maybe I need some new friends in my life. And where am I supposed to meet people now? Yes. It is very difficult. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think you had some great ideas. I don't know how much time you have because you are extremely busy, but you mentioned a pottery class. Again, we're not sporty people over here, so maybe the gym's not the thing. I feel like a pottery class is a great idea. You start chatting with the people around you. Any sort of class seems like a great idea. Also, volunteering is a really good way to meet people. You also have special skills for volunteering. You then are in an environment where you're interacting with a lot of people, and you also are interacting with people who have a lot of times the same values as you. So you might have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Helping out with a nonprofit. Again, I know you're super busy, but I think that's a good way to meet people. And then you mentioned D&D. D&D obviously might not be something where you're like, hey, I can find the local open D&D
but I'm sure there's
hang.
online D&D groups
I was
going to
say, I think you can hop onto D&D hangs that are just online.
Yeah, 100%.
And maybe eventually those people actually become like IRL friends.
Yeah, 100%.
So there
always
are ways.
think in terms of this. How would people find you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if there's a friend out there who wants to meet you as a friend?
And I'm sure there is.
But they don't know you exist. So how would you make yourself known to exist?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So always think in terms of like, well, there's someone else just feeling just like you right now, but how are you guys going to meet each other if you don't go do and be out in the world? And, it's like if you're being overworked, maybe ask if there's a way to not work an extra day. You know what I mean? It's all about like push and pull. You know what I mean? But yeah, I totally feel you though. It's hard the older you get.
It's so hard the older you get, and especially when you're so busy like you. But like you said, I love that you were self cheerleading because you deserve it, and saying that you are funny, you are charming, you are likable, and all those things. I can just hear it in your voice are so true. So just keep being you. Yeah. And take a few of those risks that, like Evan I know is saying, might be a little nerve-wracking because, sometimes they don't work out.
But you're already not doing it. So worst case, you go, you hate it, and you leave, and it's like never happened. But what happens if you go and you love it?
So.
Next?
Yes. Love you, Alyssa.
Love you, Alyssa.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hello.
You guys are the best. I just want to let you guys know every week watching you is the best. I've been watching for years now, and I just love you guys.
Love you.
Okay, so my situation is sort of like many other people's. I had a friend since high school for a very long time, and one day she just stopped talking to me. And it is kind of random and odd, but I moved to a different city at one point, years before she just stopped. And we were still in contact. Everything was fine. And I could just sense that something was going on. Like, the conversations weren't the same anymore. I did ask at one point, hey, like, is everything good between us? And she would just say, yeah, everything's fine. Like, I'm just busy with school. At that time, we were both in university. So she would just say, I'm busy, just like, it's fine, whatever. So obviously I didn't push it. We just talked. I gave her a little space.
Yeah.
But then one day, out of nowhere, out of the blue, she completely just stopped talking to me. And I mean, like, completely. So I reached out a few times because I was just, surprised. I was like, okay, did I do something? Because from what I know, I haven't done anything at all, So, but the one thing is that I always had a little feeling something might have been off. So just to go back a little, sorry, I don't want to make this too long. Years before that, I was told by a couple of our other guy friends that she might have a thing for me. And I'm just like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I thought they were just being guys. You know how guys can be. But they said it and they're like, I'm telling you, like, I think your friend has a thing for you. Like, she gets jealous and stuff. And anyway, so then fast forward, completely stops talking to me. And I'm just like, I wonder what it could have been. Like, such a weird situation. And yeah, it really sucks losing a friend, especially like a best friend. I actually would say that it hurts more than heartbreak with a guy.
100%.
So there's that. Okay. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Love you. I'm so sorry that you're having to go through that. Initially when you first started talking, I was like, is it me? Because this person isn't responding. Because I then right away my thought was like, okay, maybe this person is like how I was, where I've been going through it. And so the texts and calls, you don't answer or check them because it brings up a feeling of anxiety and then you get in your hole, but then this person might pop back up. But clearly from what you're saying, it's not an issue of like they're not as responsive as they used to be. They just have completely ghosted you. And then also you were saying that you sensed for a while that something was off in communication and you asked, but they said that that wasn't the case. Okay. My thought is this. Number one, I fully agree with you. I think a friendship break like that is way more heartbreaking than a relationship break can be. So I'm so sorry. If I were you, I would probably send like a final message that's a little longer. That's just like, hey, I love you so much. I miss you. As you can see, I've been trying to get in touch with you. I don't know if anything happened between us, but know that I care about you and I want to be there for you if anything is going on. Know I'll always be here, so you can, text me or get back to me whenever you want. But I think at this point, because of how much I've been reaching out and you haven't been responding, I'm just going to now like officially just let it be and give you your space. But know that I care about you deeply and send something like that, almost kind of like a closing chapter message, because what that might do is if this person is in a headspace where they're not doing well and they just are, in a cave and not responding, it might be like, oh shit, my friend's hurt right now and they might not reach back out to me. It's time to message them.
Yeah.
Or it might then just be able to put it to rest for you if this person has moved on. Because then with the side note of what your friends have said that she might have feelings for you, obviously I can't speak to that. I'm not sure if she does or not. But if she does have feelings for you, maybe this is her way of protecting herself. Maybe it just became too painful for her. I don't know if you're in a relationship with somebody or if you started to date somebody and it was hard for her. It might be like this heartbreak is too intense. She doesn't feel comfortable revealing that to you. And so she's just like guarding herself. And unfortunately, you're then having to suffer with the loss of a friend in that way. But yeah, I think if you've asked numerous times, is there something wrong? And this person has said numerous times, no. And now they're ghosting you. It's really all you can do. And I would maybe send that final message just for you to leave that door open if you want to, but also kind of have some closure there. And I think that's unfortunately like my only thought with that.
I mean, I'd go a little bit more for the jugular. If you have no idea.
All right.
I'd be like, can we hop on a call? I have a question. Can we hop on a call? If she's already like dissipated into nothing, and the relationship's basically over, and she didn't give you, I look at it like disrespect a little bit, because I look at it like, dude, we had a relationship and you just like up and left without even talking,
And she'd asked numerous times, is there something wrong? Is there something
exactly.
wrong?
So I'd look at, I'd be like, hey, can we hop on a call real quick? I have a question for you. Hop on a call. Be like, hey, I love you. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know if you're okay with the fact that like we're not friends anymore. We don't hang out, but I'm not. We spent years together, shared each other's lives together. Now all of a sudden you just drift off and never talk to me again and never tell me anything. You're not like in some sort of relationship that makes you not want to be friends with me that I'm seeing. You didn't get some job in a foreign country that's causing like long distance to be the issue. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, if there's not anything I'm seeing that changed in your life, except you just never talked to me again.
Yeah.
I was talking to Jerry back in the day and he said that you might have had a crush on me or liked me. Is there a possibility that there was something there that you want to talk about?
Oh, you put that out there.
I'm like, why not? Like, I'll be like, dude, I just don't, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm your friend. I heard this rumor back in the day. I didn't know it was true. I thought if you did, you'd bring it up if you wanted to. But now that we're at this point where it's like, what's going on? Like, I feel weird that you're willing to just kind of throw away our whole relationship. And I just care about you too much to not at least give it one last fighting chance to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, everything's fine. I'm just busy. Then you just realize, to be honest with you, that like, that's not really a great friend anyways anymore.
Yeah.
That like, they're not respecting you enough to back you up and be there for you. So I'm looking at it like, okay, cool. You know what? And it sucks. It hurts. But at the same time, that's not someone who I want to rely on.
Yeah.
And so it's time to go make different friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just would be like, hey, why not? Send it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go for it. Also, lesson learned from this, in my opinion, is like, this is what happens too when you get older. People phase in and phase out of your life sometimes. Sure. So diversify your portfolio a little bit more. And this is coming from someone who tends to latch on to a couple people who I feel really strongly about, and like I like crave really strong connections with people. So I tend to be like, I'd rather have 3 super deep connections than 30 light ones. But I think that at the same time, it's good to realize that like not everything needs to be so intense. And so when someone does leave, or so there is an issue, or someone, phases out or gets married or moves away or whatever, and you guys aren't that close anymore, there's other people you can rely on, talk to, be with. I think it's good to kind of find a middle ground, have a couple deep connections, have some lighter connections. So when someone does transition out, which happens sometimes, it's not as like the one person I was hanging with is gone.
Yeah. And this family member might have that.
You might. I'm just saying, like, if that is a issue,
no, it definitely can be. Even the pain can be expedited if
it's kind of your
not as
one
many,
friend. Yeah, exactly. Which I've been through before when I was younger, for sure. So it sucks. It's tough, but like I just hate wondering, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm like, why not go for it?
Yeah.
And if you give it everything you got to understand and to try, and they still don't give you any satisfaction of knowing, then at least you gave it all you. But I hate the idea of being like, I could have asked.
And you were already a gracious enough friend by reaching out years ago and being like, is anything wrong, when you felt that the communication was off. It's like what I brought up earlier, when all of a sudden I'm not texting so much and I have lovely friends who are willing to be like, are we okay? That's a great friend move. So you've already done that. So no, I hear what you're saying, Evan. It's like you've already been a great friend in these ways. It's like, I guess might as well put it all out there and be like,
maybe she was in love with you and met some new friends that distracted her from the fact that every time she hung out with you, she was in love with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's torture. What maybe she's tortured the whole time, being like, I can't be with you.
Yeah.
This is torturous. I finally met some new friends that distract me from the fact that, whatever. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just guessing. But I just hate wondering. So I'm like, might as well go for it all the way. Call her out. Be like, I love you. What the hell?
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, sending you our love.
Yeah, it's tough.
Big time. It is so tough. Next.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi.
I hope you're doing well. I love you both. And I was wondering if you could possibly help me with a friend dynamic involving one of my maids of honor.
Ooh.
So I am getting married next March. It's like 9 months away. I have plenty of time.
Okay.
And I only have 2 people in my wedding party. I have a matron of honor who's been my best friend since I was a little kid. And then I have my maid of honor who has been my kind of adult best friend. They don't really know each other very well. They aren't really friends, and they're very different people. So in general, their personalities just kind of clash a little bit.
Okay.
That being said, they're both like my best friends, and I think they love me very much. But super long story short, I don't feel like one of them is really pitching in much to help with everything involving, planning the bridal shower, planning the bachelorette party. She doesn't really reply to any of our text messages in the group chat. She doesn't really speak up when I'm asking for ideas. That all being said, I know, we have a lot of time until we really have to crack down and start planning. And so maybe I'm just being impatient, but I'm feeling just a little, I don't know, worried that I'm going to have to step up and plan my own bachelorette party. And I'm also just kind of feeling a little sad.
Yeah.
I had this idea that, my girls would rally and around me and just kind of like do a bunch of special things for me, or, plan a night together just because they love me so much. And I'm sort of just not feeling like that's happening. I'm scared to reach out and, talk to her about it necessarily, because again, I might be overreacting. I don't want to cause any drama if there's no drama to be caused. Like, maybe I should just kind of sit back, let them figure it out, and not worry about it too much. But maybe I should reach out and tell her how I'm feeling. I'm not really sure. It's a whole thing. I don't really know what to do. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. I love you both. Have a good day.
Love you. Okay. I know that you said that you're like, maybe I shouldn't reach out because you were saying maybe you're overreacting and you don't want to make a thing about it. I personally think you should, because what I can imagine happening is, what if this continues? You're 9 months away from the wedding. The bachelorette party is still like, in the future. What if it doesn't get better? And then you're getting closer and closer to a day that you're very excited about, your wedding. And this is in the back of your head the entire time. And it's distracting you from the actual day because you're feeling
Is she
like...
saying that both of them?
I think she said one of them is.
Did she specify which?
No.
Oh, okay. So one of them. So it sounds like the matron,
it's either
the maid of
matron-
honor, right? Because the maid of honor is kind of the one usually in charge. No.
No, it's matron. It's matron of honor and maid of honor. So she's got like two essentially.
Oh.
So I believe when it's matron
Well, what it
of
sounds
honor,
like is like the main one's dropping the ball.
I don't know, because it's a matron of. I think both are the main.
Okay,
she
so
just has
they're both,
two
they're
people.
both dropping the
I
ball.
believe matron of honor means when you're married. So I think she said one of them is married with kids. I
Got it,
believe,
got
and
it.
that's matron of honor, and then maid of honor.
Got it. Okay.
Is her other friend. So both of them, I think, are in equal positions. One, she's just been friends with her whole life, and the other is like a newer, newer friend. So I don't know if it's matron of honor or if it's maid of honor. But my thought is, it might get worse, and it might continue to grind in your mind, which was going to be a nightmare when you're dealing with the stresses of a wedding on top of life, on top of everything else. I know it's super awkward, and I keep saying that about communication, but it's so valuable. And I think you can approach either this matron or maid of honor by being like you said, you're like, maybe I'm overreacting. I don't feel like you are. But if you feel that way, you can even broach it that way by not like sitting down with this person and being like, we really need to talk. You have been dropping the ball and make it this whole thing. You could literally sit down with a friend over a drink, over dinner, and be like, okay, I'm going to get vulnerable and I feel really awkward because I don't want you to feel bad because I don't know if it's me. I feel I'm really sensitive right now. I'm emotional right now. You could kind of build it up with that, right? I'm feeling sensitive. I'm feeling emotional. And my feelings are a little hurt because I feel like you haven't been responding to our group texts. And I don't know if I'm having too high of expectations, but I just love you so much. And I feel like there's not more conversation happening. And I want to celebrate with you. Like, that's why I made you my maid or matron of honor. And I love you so much. And I'm feeling a little sad. And I wanted to check in, like, are you good? Are you okay? Check in with this person, but just put it out there. I would do that if I were you. Because otherwise, I think it can build up and then you can mind grind over it. And like I said, again, I don't think it needs to be this like really serious, intense sit down, because what might come from that is your maid or matron of honor getting defensive and then there's drama before the wedding, versus if you make it about you, if you're using like I statements where you're like, I'm just super sensitive right now and I'm getting my feelings hurt and maybe I'm just in my head, but I love you and are you down? Are you maybe even put it in a way of like, are you doing okay? Do you feel too busy to take on? And see what, maybe communicate your expectations and hear what their expectations are. Like, hey, are you too busy to take on some planning events for the bachelorette party? Because I was thinking maybe you and the other person could help plan it. But if you're too busy, and then maybe you're able to set your expectations up that if they're not helping, it's because they're going through this or they're super busy with life or whatever. And then everything's on the table. That's my thought.
I think that's yeah. I mean, I think. Did she say how old she was?
No.
It's tough too, because when you're young, when you're like 20, friendships and fun shit is all that matters. So there's tons of energy put into that.
Yeah.
When you're 35, sometimes even if you care about someone so much, being a maid of honor, being there's maid of honor, but then what's the other one?
Best man.
Best man. Sorry. It can be kind of like a lot of work.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
And so it could be as simple as like your friend is like loves you very much, but at the same time is a little bit like, financially, this is kind of a lot. Time wise, this is kind of a lot. And I love you, but like at the same time, I'm a little bit like, fuck, like, how am I going to find the time to like, have my husband take care of the kids while I go on this trip? How are we going to afford it? I know it's going to cost a lot. Like these are things
or
that
like if you don't have like, or if you're in a situation where like, oh, I'm booked with work or
whatever.
school.
There's
and
so many different stresses,
finances.
right?
Yeah.
That like what to you would sound incredible to her would sound ideal in an ideal world, but in the real world for her right now is like stressful as shit.
Yeah.
So I would do my best to not take it personal. You guys probably really love each other a lot, but like planning a trip, like some people also thrive in planning. Like, are these people planners in every other part of their life? Are they going on trips all the time? Are they planners? Are they the perfect people that like make the bow and the fruit arrangement for every little hangout you guys have? Are they kind of just chilling and then all of a sudden you're kind of expecting them to be these people they aren't?
That's
These are
true.
also
For
things.
example, if I was your maid of honor, I live for a planning a trip.
Yes.
I live for setting up a friend and for being like, we're going to do this,
Yes.
this, and this. That's where my strength is. So if we're talking about that, I'd be super chatty in the group and I'd be like, I'm planning everything. But all of a sudden, if we're talking about the wedding shower and it's like, okay, who's going to bring this food and do this? I am useless.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, maybe I'm very quiet. So maybe this friend, this is not a skill set. And so it's like a little overwhelming.
100%. It's just not like the thing. And so again, this is kind of like what it always comes back to, but it's like, do your best to remove your feelings from it for a sec, step back and go, let's analyze this, right? My two girls are like not planners and they're chill and they kind of relax and everybody else plans everything. Okay, then why am I expecting them to all of a sudden just rise to the occasion and be these like incredible celebrators? If they're always doing it, then I think you go more towards Jess's take. You go, okay, wait, these people are like the fruit arrangement maximizers to the party planning
but even
limits.
if they're not always doing it, it is painful. I've been in this situation with my
No, it's still
bachelorette
painful.
party, so I feel this.
But
where
what
you're
I'm-
like, hey, does no one care?
Sure, 100%. But
You know.
but what I'm doing is like, if everything about their life would be the perfect party planners and they're not doing it for you, that's when I think it's a little easier to go, hey, I know you're so good at this. You do this all the time. I'm feeling a little weird that, we can't, is there something wrong? Blah, blah. Also, you could just come at it like from a more simple, just straightforward place and be like, hey guys, we're coming down to the wire here. I'm happy to plan it with you guys. What should we do? And get a little bit more like practical, get it done with. It's going to hurt your feelings a little bit, but waiting, having it explode at the end, the trip being a letdown, that's going to hurt way worse. So get ahead of it. Whether you kind of just jump in on the planning yourself, have a conversation with them, get ahead of it. The quicker you kind of start having the conversations earlier, the better.
Yeah, I do agree with what you're saying about if it doesn't get planned at all, it's going to hurt worse.
And then you're going to be like on your wedding day thinking about these women
so
and
I
kind of
think,
maybe trying not to be bitter.
Yeah, so I definitely do think that, that is a thing where you're like, okay, if they're not planning and maybe I have to do a little bit at least, then you're having it. And it's still painful, but at least that's there. But that's where I'm going to go back to what I said. I think it's important to sit down and have a conversation. It doesn't have to be a super intense one, but it can be like, hey, are you busy? What are your thoughts? I'm pretty sensitive right now, so I am feeling this desire. I would love if that was an option. But if you're too overworked or too busy with this, like I understand, but this is how I'm feeling. Just the general communication so that everyone's kind of on the same page, so that people aren't like ducking around, avoiding what's going on in everyone's mind. Because then the wedding day could be rough.
Yeah,
or
then you're like,
stressed
then you're looking at them like, I
about
shouldn't even have invited you guys, and you don't want to deal with all that. Get ahead of it.
That's my thought.
Get ahead of it.
So that you can really enjoy your big celebrations.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, next.
Yes.
Next.
Hi, Mom and Dad. I love you guys, and I could really, really use some advice with a friendship question. So I think mine's like a bit of a doozy, honestly.
Let's go.
And I'm going to do my best to explain it like concisely. So basically, I have had a friend who was a guy, and we were friends since high school into college. And then I had another friend who we met in college, and her and I were friends for several years. And then I started like merging my friend groups, and this guy and this girl met and they started dating, and they were like separately my best friends.
Okay.
And then when they started dating, it was like really weird for me because I am a child of divorce, and I was like, I just don't want to be in the middle of things if things get hairy, scary, or if y'all like fight, or if it's weird. And but I was like, of course I'll support you guys no matter what. And so they end up getting together, getting married. They're married now. But the guy and I are no longer friends because him and I had a falling out right before they got married. And he was a complete asshole to me. That's a whole other story, but he ended up yelling at me, cursing me out one time. God. And so him and I are no longer friends. But her and I stayed friends, and I told her kind of like, I don't think, this is like the right guy for you. He treated me really poorly. But again, do what you're going to do. Fast forward, they have an open marriage. And so recently, she ended up starting to hook up with one of my other friends. And they have been like having a casual friends with benefits thing on the side of her marriage. And my question, I guess, is this a friendship worth keeping? Because she's now gotten herself involved with two of my friends. Sure. One of them ended up with me not being his friend anymore. And her and I go way back, and she's been a good friend otherwise, but I don't know. What's your advice? Should I try and talk to her about it, or should I just cut my losses and not be her friend anymore? Yeah, I don't know. Any advice you have would be greatly appreciated. Love you guys.
Love you. You're like, can you do me a favor and date outside of the friend group?
Can you stop banging my friends?
Can you date outside of my friend group?
Can I go first?
Please, yeah.
Make it casual. Don't cut her out.
Yeah.
Just make it casual.
I like that.
Maybe make it not as deep as it was. Make it simple. I think she is a little like, well, clearly you're like the friend version of Good Luck Chuck. Like everyone you're friends with, she falls in love with. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like clearly whoever you choose as a guy friend is like her kryptonite.
Yeah.
So
she likes your taste in friends.
So what I would do is this. Keep it casual.
Yeah.
Maybe the new boundary is
I don't
any
introduce
new
you to
guy
any of my
friends you
friends.
have, you don't bring her into that. Have your own friends. She has her friends, and just kind of make it more like you guys are homies, but it's not like everybody who you are cool with and are friends with are you involve her with.
Yeah.
Like let it be what it is. You're friends with the guy, your ex friends with her current husband, you're friends with her. Cool. Lesson learned. She makes things complicated for you.
Yeah.
So just be like, cool. All right. We have that set up. She's my friend. I'm friend with those people, whatever. Now all my new friends or my other friends, I don't introduce. I know you're probably someone likes bringing everybody together. Yeah. Lesson learned. We don't do that with her.
Yeah. Because like you said, you said that she's been a good friend. And I do have to say, you told her that you don't think that she should be with her current husband. And I'll tell you, a lot of people probably wouldn't handle that well and might have cut you out. So it sounds like she's been a person who does really care about you but has then made complications in your life where you're like, okay, I totally, when you made the comment about her husband and her starting to date and you have the divorce thing where you're like, I don't want to get in the middle, totally relate to that, completely understand that. So I'm feeling your pain in that, but I also sounds like she's been, other than that, a good friend and don't want you to necessarily lose that relationship just because of her relationships. Mm-hmm. So I fully agree with Evan. I think that in the future, you don't introduce her to any new guy friends, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple.
But also, too, just note for you then with her currently, I would say, since she is now hooking up with one of your current friends, I would stay out of their relationship.
Yes.
So, like, as much as you probably, I don't know what the friend hang looks like. I get if a bunch of people are hanging out and they're there together, you don't want to miss that. But let's just say they're like, the two of them are like, hey, you want to go to a movie together? I would maybe stay out of their hang so that if something does happen between them that goes sour, that then you're not involved in that and you have your relationship separately now with him and separately with her. So I might make an effort to now make those relationships separate for yourself. And if he wants to chat about her or she wants to chat about him, I would maybe just try to change the conversation so that you're not part of it. Yeah, because you don't want to lose that friend, but I also agree with Evan. If it is making your life complicated, then maybe just make it a little more surface level with her. But my instinct wouldn't be to cut her out, since she has still been otherwise a good friend to you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think there's a reason to like go hardcore. Just keep it simple. Keep it where it is. Going forward, everything's got its separate place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, definitely. Yeah, your friend has no problems making your life complicated as hell. So, I think that you can have your own boundaries here.
That's true. And honestly, again, since she was able to hear you say to her, I don't like your husband and I don't think you should be with him, and she was still then able to keep the friendship rolling, she probably would be able to handle you saying to her like, hey, love you so much, but like it got complicated the last time I introduced you and now you're dating this guy or hooking up with this guy. Like, I'm going to have a little bit of a boundary. I love you, but I'm having a boundary now because I don't want to keep losing friends. I feel like she might be able to receive that.
Yes.
Okay.
And don't vent to either of them about each other.
No.
So don't be like talking to your guy friend about her and be like, yeah, we're not really close anymore, because then he might tell her, or same vice versa or whatever. So just keep it simple, keep it light. If you want deeper relationships, keep them away from her. Unfortunately.
Okay, should we do one more?
Yes.
And we got so many again.
So
It's
many.
so I'm like, we got to keep doing
I
call
know.
homes, and we'll keep answering these. So please,
Let's
thank
do
you
one
so much
last
for
one.
thank you so much,
Yes.
family, for sending these messages.
It's so awesome.
It's amazing that you're willing to share. So we've now got a bunch built up from the friendships and the relationships. So we're gonna keep chipping away
Yes.
and keep doing these
100%.
if you want us to. So thank you.
All
All right, last one.
Yeah.
Hello, mother. Hello, father. This is your daughter calling.
Daughter.
Hi, mom and dad. I am calling
Just a bit of
about
theater, the
a
top.
relationship issue that is more on the friend side that I've heard Jess talk about before.
Okay.
With friends that are in different parts of their lives. So I am about to have my second child, and my best friend does not have children yet.
Mm.
We live like 2.5 hours away from each other. So before I had kids, it was hard to get together. And as you can imagine, now with a toddler and being super pregnant, it's even more difficult. I'm generally the one to initiate and follow through with making plans, which is hard for me to do right now. And throughout my pregnancy, we've probably seen each other one time and don't talk much. I try not to take it personally, but of course it hurts that she doesn't really make any effort to reach out. And I remember Jess giving an example of this with one of her friends when you were pregnant and had Ember. So just looking for some general advice on how you handled that, I guess, emotionally on your own terms, going through like the hormone fluctuations of having a kid, and then how you sort of rebuilt that friendship after you had a kiddo. Because I miss her, I do, but I'm still hurt that she doesn't make more of an effort, and I guess isn't as understanding that my hands are fuller than they were before, and I don't have as much time as I used to have to make plans and arrangements with her. So yeah, any advice you have on that would be very much appreciated, dear. Love you both. Love the pod. And talk later. Thanks.
Love you. Okay, so I'll tell you what I did, and then just don't do what I did. Okay, so this is how it went down with me. I had a great friend. I got pregnant, and what you were talking about, that situation, it's almost mirrored itself exactly. I was pregnant with my little one and stopped hearing from this individual. And then I would reach out sometimes and, wouldn't get much back while I was pregnant at home, especially in those later months where I was kind of cooped up because of some stuff with Ember. When I was pregnant with her, I couldn't leave the house too much in those last 6 weeks. But then after I gave birth to Ember, it still kind of continued as it was, not hearing from this person, and I would reach out. And what I did, which I do not recommend, is that I didn't communicate how I was feeling, and I let it build up inside me to a point then when we were having a conversation where I burst. And I was just emotions flying all over the place, sadness, rage, all the things. I can tend to do this. Don't do what I do. I let things build up without communicating sometimes, and then I'll just have this emotional. And like you were talking about too, with everything postpartum and the hormones fluctuating, I just was like, sobbing, and the person didn't necessarily receive it, which I understand because of the way that I maybe responded or how I broached the subject. And then after that, we just really didn't talk at all, and we stopped talking. The reason that we did get back into communication again really was when, well, it started to a little bit because I did run into this individual like numerous months after that happened, and I was kind of like, hey, I apologize for my reactionary response instead of communicating with you, but it didn't really then begin us hanging out or anything again. But this person did eventually end up getting pregnant, and then once that happened, we had a conversation, and this person was like, I understand what your perspective was more, because then they kind of felt a little lonely in that situation as well. So that's how it went down with me. It was not pretty. I did not do a great job of handling it. So what my suggestion would be to you is the tough part is, and I feel this for you, is that you're feeling like you're reaching out, but then simultaneously it sounds like your friend is not understanding that, like you said, your hands are a little more full now and your schedule's a little more tight, so that you're not able to hang out. That would be the piece of that would be the part of this that I would focus on in communication with your friend. I would be a little bit like just straight up and say, hey, I love you so much. I miss you so much. I want to connect with you, but I'll be honest. I feel like maybe I'm reading into this the wrong way, but I feel like you're hurt that I'm not as available as I used to be, which I totally get, but I'm hurt that I'm reaching out and you're not responding to me or doing anything with that. So I'm just going to be straightforward and let you know my schedule is a little funky now. It might be a little erratic, but I want to make time to hang out. And do you still want to spend time with me? And kind of set up expectations for what it's going to look like. Let your friend know, like, hey, I might not be able to do A, B, and C anymore. And I may have to cancel a plan here and again because of my kids, but will you be patient with me in this? Because I want to continue our friendship and I want to keep seeing you. I need someone to be patient with me in this process, and see what your friend says, because, there might be a part, unfortunately, of this with this friend where they might be like, no, I'm not in a space where I'm willing to be patient with a friend. And that's really painful, but it just might be how it is at this person's time in their life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that even answered the question.
But I think that's legit. I mean, I think my 2 cents are, you said that she wasn't good at reaching out before. So there's kind of this, like, don't expect her to all of a sudden be like this incredible reacher-outer. Like you said, you guys barely hung out before because of life. So then what's probably going on even in her brain more is like, she's not a reacher-outer. You're the one that was kind of facilitating all the hangs. Now you can't do it as much, and then you guys aren't hanging out as much. Well, it's like, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah. Right?
I mean, if you guys had a precedent and then you're the person that kind of keeps the relationship going, you can't be shocked when they're not, like, all of a sudden just like, your guys' dynamic totally changes. So if you care about this person and you love them, just be straight up. Be like, hey, I love you so much. Can you do me a favor though? Like, I'm really crazy and busy, but I do really want to hang out with you. Can you do me a favor and just like reach out sometimes, and we can, like, set up a hang every once in a while? And I know it's kind of weird to sometimes go there, but sometimes relationships, if they're going to go to a deeper place, have to involve some deeper moments. And
I love that. Yeah.
You don't have to call her out or anything, but be like, hey, I love you so much. And I know that we haven't really hung out that much because of life and all those things, but I'd love to hang out with you more. Can we, and maybe you don't even have to have her change, but maybe you can create some sort of semi-regular hang. Once a month on Tuesday, you guys go to that one bar and have a drink.
They live 2 hours away. Maybe
they
even
do?
a phone call. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe you guys just chat more, and so
Like
then
a
while
phone
you're
call.
chatting more, things will develop.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's very reasonable to feel hurt, but I think it's also very reasonable to be like, hey, well, the dynamic's always been the same. You're the instigator, and then when you don't instigate, nothing happens. It's kind of like, it sounds consistent with your guys' dynamic.
Something that I did do in more recent years with some of my friends, like the Katies, for instance, is I've communicated like, hey, listen, realistically, my schedule in recent years is not super free because of my kiddo. And so I probably won't be able to go to a lot of the hangs that you're inviting me to, but please keep inviting me.
Yes, that's a good one.
And so I've asked my friends, like I said, specifically like the Katies, and they're both so great at doing it. I'm like, will you do me a huge favor? And it means so much to me. It's a huge favor. Will you not forget me and invite me? And I'm going to let you know right now and set up expectations. I probably can't go to most of them, but the days that I can, I want to be there. And so what they've done, which means so much to me, is that they'll just, group text invite me. And oftentimes, and they know it because the expectations are set up, is that, hey guys, nope, I got to drop Ember off at this, or, we have this at the evening with her and and I can't make it. But it just makes me feel then so connected still to those people in my life. Because they haven't forgotten about me, even though we're both in different places, right? So we are in different specific places in our lives, but it's so nice to be like, don't forget about me.
Yeah.
And then for them to be so gracious to be like, we're not going to forget about you. And then we're going to know that you probably can't come, and that we're not going to take it personally because you've already communicated that you probably won't be able to come.
Yeah.
But when you can, we're all happy when we can be together.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Maybe something like that, like Evan, you were saying with this person, you know how they are normally, so they haven't been a reach router, so maybe that's not the expectation. But if you communicate like, hey, I probably won't be able to come to these, but man, I wish I could. So will you remember me when you're having something and invite me? And 100%. I'll do my very best, and no promises, but man, I want to come. And know that, so that your friend knows that your heart's there too. Like your heart is, I want to come, but I just might not be able to because I can't get a babysitter, or I've got this going on, or whatever. So
100%.
Anywho.
Oh, it's hard. It's funny. These friend ones hurt me hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like the relationship ones to me are like, yeah, it's tough. But for some reason about the friend ones, because I think everyone feels it.
Yeah.
And especially as we get older.
Yeah.
Everything hurts more because it's kind of like, it's easier to feel lonely. It's easier to feel more isolated. It's easier to feel like all you do is work and take care of other people. That it's like, just know you're seen, because it's a very real thing that as you get older to feel like your life doesn't facilitate friends.
Yeah.
It facilitates work and kids and life and, spouses or whatever. It doesn't facilitate just like, I'm doing nothing today, brunch again.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it becomes a lot more work, a lot harder, but it's worth the work.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
We are, you, like Evan said, you are seen. And then also to know, like, so often that it's just people trying to live their own life and kind of
everyone's in their own world.
This world is so fucking crazy, and we're all just trying to keep our heads above water. And I think some people respond to it differently. And so often it'll involve us like missing each other in friendships. But just know that as awkward as communication can be, man, it's helpful to reach out that hand sometimes, or to have someone reach out to you, where you have those moments where you're like, no, I'm still here. I promise. I'm speaking from experience right now, where it's like, no, I'm still here. I promise. I've just been treading water, but I'll be back, and I love you and thank you.
And if there's anything you can take from this episode, everyone's struggling with the same shit. Really, you know what I mean? Like, you're not alone. This is very much everyone's on the same page. For different reasons. So we love you.
We love you all so much. Have a beautiful weekend, and we'll see you next week for a Bachelorette.
Let's go.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.